Hi, I'm Marty Schupak. Welcome to Schupak Sports. You're tuning in. This is the baseball and softball practice template number 4. We've done 3 already. You could find them on the channel if you want to review them. If you're here for anything in baseball, stick around if you want. I do these episodes for T-ball, coaches, and parents. I invite you to stick around if you want. I want to thank anyone who subscribed to this channel. Appreciate it. If you haven't, please subscribe. We're trying to keep this format going the way it is, free and all that stuff. Before I get into the practice drills with this template number 4, I'm going to ask a trivia question, baseball, which I love. Not great at it, but I love it. All right, here we go. First-year managers in the history of Major League Baseball. How many first-year managers have won the World Series in their first year? I'll ask it again. How many first-year managers have won the World Series in their first year managing? I'll give you, just so you know, there are 5. Try to come up with 3. I don't think you'll get all 5, but try to come up with 3. I know when this was asked me, I came up with 2. So think about that. We're going to get into the drills and stick around because I'm going to give you a pitching tip halfway through the drills that has really changed the way a lot of people pitch in youth baseball all the way up to the majors. They've turned some pitchers, this technique has turned some pitchers around from failure to success. I'm going to give a great example. All right, the first drill I do in this number 4, I start out, I do a batting practice. And I'm going to explain what and how I do this. I have a personal peeve about getting to practice on time. My practices run anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. If a player gets there 15 minutes late, the player can miss really 25% of the practice if it's an hour. I do this because I want to motivate players to get to practice on time, and it works. Remember that players in baseball and softball, they love to hit. They live to hit. Don't deny it to them. The reason I put the batting practice first, I call it a mini batting practice. I want players, I do a couple of reasons. I want them to get to practice early in the future. Once they see that we're doing batting practice, if the season, let's say, is 5 or 6 weeks old, they'll talk amongst each other. What coach is doing batting practice at the beginning? What's he doing? And they'll tell their parents and they'll adjust their schedules to get to practice on time. And another reason is I like to change things up. I don't like to have a regular pattern, though a lot of my practices seem that I repeat a lot of drills. So I find that if I do this mini batting practice, I'm really putting the players a little bit, not kind of at edge, but kind of, they're not sure what's going on next. But this mini batting practice that I do, I go right into it. I don't even do a warm-up, all right? And I make sure I get on the first one I practice, I set it up, I put my bucket of balls on the mound, I set up an L screen. First player that gets there, I'll say, Johnny, come on out, put on your batting gloves and your bat, grab a helmet, and I'll start throwing batting practice. And I do this and I try to hurry them in there because I want other players as they drive up with their parents to see what's going on. Now, if you've seen my regular batting practices, I don't do any of this stuff with the bunting, with the cones, and setting up the 2 buckets. And I don't have the stations outside of the fence like I do with regular batting practice. And if you haven't seen that episode on my YouTube channel, try to search it out because really the way I set up batting practice this way at the end of practice, Players can get anywhere to 20 to 40% extra swing. So that's a little homework for you if you're interested. Search out the YouTube episode when I run an efficient batting practice. When the player gets there, as I said, I try to get him in the batter's box as soon as possible. The first player there is going to get more throws than anyone else. That's just the way it is. After that, I try to give players like 3 swings. Sometimes I'll do like one pitch where they have to swing no matter where the pitch is. But I go through the order. It goes through it very quickly. The balls will be scattered, so you might have to call a timeout so they gather the baseballs up. It's a very effective way to motivate kids to get to practice early. I do this once or twice during the season. I think a couple of times. I did it 3 times. Try it. Not the very first practice of the season. I would wait a few weeks, but it's very effective. Okay, next drill I do. Oh, by the way, after we do the mini batting press, we warm up. Again, 5 to 10 minutes of warming up. I didn't do it. I say this over and over again. When I first started coaching, studies have shown that even the smallest amount of warming up is very effective in preventing injuries, and we're teaching players lifetime habits when they get older. If they're playing golf, pickleball, paddleball, that they'll warm up before they get on the court or in the golf course. All right. Then I go do this drill on this one, and it's the pitcher covering first, or you could call it hit to the right side of the infield. Drives me crazy. And what's missing in this picture really is the first baseman, which is okay, because I didn't want it too busy. But as a coach, I throw the ball to the right side of the infield. Okay. I want the pitcher to run to the first baseline. Notice I don't have him going direct. The reason for that is if he goes direct, there's a better chance for an injury. Now, keep in mind, most leagues now have the double first base, which is great, but still you want to prevent injuries. So I have him go to the first baseline and then run up. The second baseman will field the ball and he'll toss it. All right, a teaching point is, and we practice this, make sure your fielders don't toss the ball too high. You want them to lead the player, okay, and preferably throw to the base. Make sure you rotate all your pitchers and the other fielders. If you want, again, this doesn't show the first baseman, put the first baseman in there. What I try to do at the beginning, I try to tell them the drill we're doing, but I try not to over-instruct. I want them to experience, to see. Some players will do it instinctively, and that's what you want. One of the things you do, and I do, is you're throwing the ball out. You don't want the players anticipating. So once in a while, I'll do it differently. I'll start my throw, and I'll throw to the pitcher's mound on the ground. Sometimes I catch a pitcher running off the mound, anticipating the ball going to the right side of the infield. Make sure you practice this, okay? Play like this also. It's good to have the right fielder come in. We don't want anyone to be spectators. Again, you could tell players what to do. It's much more effective, though, if you practice it. Pitcher cover first or hit to the right side of the infield. Next drill I do is the rundown drill. Okay. The way I set this up, I have kind of like 2 stations. One between third and home and one between first and second. I have the base runner. The base runner will wear a helmet, even though I use soft covered balls. And though this isn't realistic because we don't have other fielders that are backing it up, we're getting players used to throwing it back and forth and getting the base runners used to being in a rundown. It's very effective. I turn this into a game. Okay, if the player is tagged out, The two players get 1 point. If the player gets into a base, he gets 2 points. And you rotate the fielders and you rotate the base runners. It goes quick when you use 2 baselines. Okay? And remember, you want to teach players the perfect number of throws in a rundown is 0, no throws. The second best number of throws is 1 throw. And a key term I always use is you want to get the base runner into a sprint mode, okay? Doing this, the players are getting used to moving back and forth, throwing it to each other back and forth. Highly effective drill. And what I did with that drill also, I piggybacked another drill where it's run down between third and home. And I try to set this up. A lot of the drills I have are from an experience where I've been burnt as a coach. When I was a young coach and I was coaching the minors, and I've told the story, the opposing team, the coach had a great technique. He was aggressive. If there was a player on base, when the pitcher, or anyone would throw it back to the pitcher, as soon as he throw it back, he would have the base runner break. And a lot of times from third to home, getting a run down between third and home. And he would end up, the base runner would get past one of the players. So what you want to do here, what I learned is if there's a run down between third and home, I bring the first baseman down to back up the catcher. All right. You don't want to leave home plate naked ever. You want to bring down your first baseman. You want to practice this, and you want to make sure the first baseman knows when to get in the play and when to get out of the way. Highly effective. Again, run down drill between third and home. The best number of throws is 0. The second best is 1 throw. And you try to get them to get into a sprint mode. And just so you know, a lot of coaches will teach their players, if they get into a rundown, run them back to the base they come from. I don't look at rundowns like that. I look at rundowns as a gift from the baseball gods to get an easy out, but you must practice it. All right, let me get to an advanced tip. I promise you, a lot of you have heard it, but I just want to go through it. It's a pitching tip, and then we'll get right back to the template number 4 for baseball and softball coaches and parents. I want to include you too, and any league commissioners. Pitching, okay? Years ago, the New York Yankees had a pitcher who became an excellent pitcher called Ron Guidry. But a lot of people don't know this. Before he became a great pitcher, he was a little bit wild. His body was not steady. It was a little bit all over the place. And in fact, Guidry got in his car with his wife and started heading back to Louisiana. He had just about given up. Then they turned around, and the manager, Billy Martin, who was very astute baseball knowledge, outside of that, he was a tough guy to get along with. He told Guidry, I want you on every pitch to get into the set position. I know a lot of you heard this before. He did that, and it literally changed his career. He had that incredible season where he went 25-3 and won the Cy Young. But from that point, he would expand his repertoire from getting into the set position and then go into the full windup, let's say 1 or 2 pitches. He worked his way into the routine, and I recommend youth coaches do that. If you see that the pitcher is all over the place and he is not that accurate, try to get him in the set position, come down in the set position. He's going to lose just a little bit off his pitch, but it's not that much on the youth level. And another thing, when it's the set, when they bring the player to the set position, our local field league, we only have 1 field. So on a given Saturday, from 9 in the morning to anywhere from 10, 11 at night, There's constant games going, one after the other, one after the other. I found that over the years, I coached 30 years, sometimes, God bless the field maintenance crew, most of them were great, but some of them weren't as astute. And what happened was the pitchers in front of the rubber, by the time it was the third or fourth game, there'd be a hole dug in. So if a pitcher was pitching in the full windup or the set position, when he went into that hole, which could be anywhere from 6 to 8 inches deep, he would lose his balance. It's very important when you're teaching pitching that the pitching mound is groomed correctly. Okay, I'm sure there are YouTube videos about it. There's research. Make sure that dirt right in front of the pitching rubber is pounded in tight. You want it tight so the pitcher will not sink. But the advanced tip is have your pitchers go to the set position before they go into the full windup. All right, next drill. This is a drill I do. I'm a huge believer in what I call cross sports drills. And a lot of you know I'm a big NFL fan. In the summer, I go to different NFL camps, and I love watching them up close, the different position drills, the different type of drills they do. I've taken some of those drills, and I've put them into baseball, all right, made adjustments. But this is on throwing. This is the basketball throw. All right, it's showing throwing into the screen. You don't have to throw into a screen, but that's what's shown. And the reason I like doing the basketball throw, a lot of kids, anywhere from 8 to 12, they're still not throwing correctly. When they have a ball bigger than a baseball, and you don't have to use a basketball, you could use any size ball which is bigger. So they're using it with two hands. You'll notice automatically their footwork will actually be corrected, all right? Sometimes when you're just throwing a baseball, they're not moving their feet or their hips, and you'll show them. But have them throw a basketball or even a small basketball, and you'll see a difference in the footwork. You could do that for just a few minutes, okay? The next drill is a fun drill. Again, the best formula is to integrate skill drills with fun drills. That's where you get the most out of your players. That's where you get players that want to come back to the next practice. That's where you get players that want to sign up for softball and baseball for the next year. A game I started is tennis racket home run derby. I take an old tennis racket. Okay, I put a drop down base here, and I use second base as home plate. This drop down base is for 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds. You could adjust it any way you want. If you have 8 and 9-year-olds, you could do that. I pitch tennis balls from the outfield. They swing and they hit the balls like they're hitting a baseball. It goes over the fence. They love it. I collect tennis balls. If I see one lying around, if I'm at the school, I'll just pick them up and I accumulate them. At first, I was doing it for my dog, and then I started this drill. Basically, I throw one pitch. You can do it any way you want. Great drill. Kids love it. I divide the team in half. And I usually have a technique or rule that they stay up at bat as long as they keep hitting home runs. So if they swing and miss or swing and the ball is before the fence, next player up. They swing and hit 3 home runs, they stay up. You want to put a maximum on that, like let's say 5 home runs or 5 swings. And then if we have time, and a lot of times the kids love the tennis racket home run derby. They want to continue doing that. We go back to the regular batting practice where I set up the cones for bunting. I have 2 stations outside. I utilize my assistant coaches, toss drill, and hitting off the tee. This is showing it on the same side. It's best to put one station over here. Make sure also, it's another reminder, you've heard it before, the on-deck hitter is always in the dugout, ready to hit. All right? You don't want to have a situation where you call the next batter up. He's got to put on his batting gloves. So the number 2 hitter is here, number 3 hitter is here, and this says 2, but it should be number 4. And then they move up. The on-deck hitter is always ready to hit. Make sure you use a bucket of balls. Go to the base of the mound, use an L screen. 2 buckets. I don't do base running. I don't have them run the last one out. They roll the ball to the bucket. Remember, my theory is batting practice is just what it says. It's batting practice, all right? This batting practice, the players will get 20 to 40% more swings. Okay, let's get back to the trivia question. And if you like this, feel free to leave a comment. If you like it, love to hear from you. If you don't like it, I'd love to hear comments. I just want to get better. And again, subscribe if you can. If you're interested in my videos, I tell on every one of my episodes, your library has a program called Hoopla. If you are a member of it or you know how to use it, just type in my name, Schupak Sports, or Marty Schupak. Most of my videos, I think there's 25 that are on that Hoopla program. I have baseball, I have soccer, I have basketball, I have golf, I have lacrosse. Doesn't cost you a penny. So that's that promo for that. As far as products, let me just point out, these practices I'm coming from this book, Baseball Coach and a Guide for the Youth Coach and Parent. I don't recommend a lot to buy my items, my products. I don't want you to spend money you don't have. This is one product I recommend you buy. And if you can, buy the ebook, just because I have 60 sample practices with live links. Let's get right back to the trivia question just so we can move on. All right, the question was, in Major League Baseball history, how many first-year managers and who were they, rookie managers, that won the World Series? Okay. I said try to get 3. There are 5. I'll name them going backwards. Alex Cora, 2018 Boston Red Sox. Bobby Brendel, was it? 2001 Diamondbacks. I didn't get that one. All right. Bobby Brenly. I'm sorry. I stopped the program and I looked it up because I couldn't read my writing. 2001 Diamondbacks. Ralph Houck, 1961 Yankees. These are the 2 I didn't think you were going to get going back. 1946, Eddie Dwyer for the St. Louis Cardinals. Interestingly, Eddie Dwyer was in their minor league system that was put together by one of my heroes, Branch Rickey, who really liked the way he managed. And the 5th one is Bucky Harris, who was a second baseman for the Senators. He was only 26 years old. I think it was Clark Griffith, the owner, took a chance, made him the player manager, Bucky Harris, and he beat the Giants in the World Series. So it was a great move. So those are the 5: Alex Cora, Bob Bradley, Ralph Houck, Eddie Dyer, and Bucky Harris. Bucky Harris later went on to manage the Yankees, and he won a World Series there. Please, if you didn't see our other practice templates, just go back. They're easy to find. For Marty Schupak and Schupak Sports, and let's have a thumbs up if you can. Until next time.